Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the best places to live and buy property in Portugal. Munson here, and normally it's me interviewing somebody, and tonight I'm doing a presentation, so it's a little bit different for me this evening. So as we said before, if you could just chip into the comments with your name, well, I can see your name from your comment, but your location, as some of you are doing already, and your ideal outcome from tonight. Okay, that would be really helpful to me, so I can maybe review that later on and come back. Already hoping to settle into Portugal by the end of the year. Thank you, Amit. Familiar face and name here from Alexandria, I do beg your pardon. Thinking about moving to Portugal in a couple of years. That's Kat Esserman. I know the Warren loves. Olaf from Lauren and Andrew from Raleigh. Fixer-uppers, is that a good place to start or no? I'm going to say no at the moment. That's only from my own bitter experience. We'll come back to that. Hi from Durban, Clive. Hope to get some clarity of where to buy. Have looked in mid and north and thinking about the Algarve, but cannot travel at the moment. That's quite a lot to choose from, Clive, there this evening. Hello, Earl. Howdy from the USA this evening. Paul Richards with an advert. Algarve is open to expats. Well done, Paul. He'll help us out later on. Kat's in Virginia. Colin Richardson. Hi from Colin, and Hakeem from London. Hi there. Good evening to you. Great to see your faces again. Botard from Anchorage, Alaska. Finally, spring is here. Fantastic. Jim from Wiesbaden. Hope you're healing well, Jim. No Jim from before, from the Good Morning Portugal show. Hoping to plan to retire to Portugal within the next year. Great. Trying to decide where to live long term. Weather lifestyle info from Alicia. Thank you very much. Now in Ferragudo. I think that's probably just a base camp for the time being, right? Josephine, I look forward to this information and hope for information about Alentejo ever region. I might have to refer that, but let wait and see. Josephine, hoping to convince my wife to spend lots of time in Portugal from Lydia there. That's great. Visiting hopefully this fall for second time. Want to know areas to check out, focus on. Brilliant. Botard from the Silver Coast, still looking for my forever place. I'm going to go into that paralysis by analysis thing this evening, because that can happen. I don't know if I'm not necessarily describing you, Louise, but that is a hashtag for tonight, paralysis by analysis. Few years to go until we can travel and find the ideal home to settle. From the Shea Macedo tonight. Anna from Cascais, she's here, who will be helping us, and moving next month to Porto, Lisbon, but want a short list of areas to visit and explore with a view to buy later this year or next year. Fantastic. Keep those coming in. I will do my best to keep an eye on those and come back and have a look later. Neil's here tonight. Just all come to the Alentejo. End of discussion. So we could have an early bath and a drink and go with that advice, or we could do this presentation that I've carefully curated for you. Let's do that. And somebody's saying no video yet. Jim, are you seeing the presentation? It should be if I could get some yeses as to, okay, got some thumbs up for the presentation on the screen. All right, let's get cracking. And like I say, I usually do Q&A with a guest here. I'm on presentation. If it gets boring, do say that in the comments. Heckling is welcome, all right? I don't want any death by PowerPoint here. So let's crack on. Your personal best is what I'm interested in tonight. These are the basic sort of principles of the presentation this evening. When I say what's the best place, it's got to be your best, doesn't it? Rather than my idea of what's best. That will come into it. I am known for offering an opinion or two, but really this is about helping you find your personal best place. I'll tell you a bit about my own personal journey. I'll give you some decision-making tools. We'll go to Q&A in the comments, and I'll share with you some resources. And at Expats Portugal, we're very proud to announce the Expats Portugal Property Finder real estate finding service with you tonight. And that's why Colin's here to say hi as well. Okay, let's move on to the next slide. Just getting familiar with this stuff. Yeah, so define best. That's the key thing tonight. What is going to be best for you? You might want to take a few notes on that. I do have a few decision-making tools, as I say, to share with you. This Is Us came to Portugal in 2017. September of. That's us on the boat, all in that kind of pre-honeymoon phase. Yay, our long-term dream to come to Portugal. Sorry, who's that? I think somebody shouted something out. The heckling has begun already. So that's the family. We've got another one since we've been here. That's us on the boat, leaving Plymouth in the UK, September 2017. There's the camper van the next month being taken away. which paid to our immediate plans. We had moved from Tamar in central to the coast to look at the Silver Coast, and our bongo, our beloved Mazda bongo, broke down, and we actually experienced a lockdown of a kind because we didn't have a vehicle, and the RAC very kindly put us up in a hotel for several weeks. It was fantastic, a great place to be stuck. San Martino De Porto, which I will come back to later on. So that was a plot twist for us personally. In the time we've been here, we came in through Jerez up in the north, which is fabulous. We stayed in Tamar first. We got stuck in San Martino de Porto and got to know the Silver Coast. We then moved to Lisbon, south of the river. We spent time all over central Portugal and got to know it. And then went to Aveiro. Well, I worked in Aveiro, so we got to know Aveiro pretty well. Spent time in the Algarve, in the Alentejo, visited Castelo Branco, and then most recently ended up in this part of Portugal, Coria and Anadia. And we're moving again soon to Caldas de Rainha. So we're going to go back to the south coast, the Silver Coast, I beg your pardon, not the south coast. In the time that I've been here, bringing you right up to date, 578 YouTube videos made, 566 podcasts. I'm proud to be part of the Expats Portugal team. And basically, I'm a consultant and helper to anybody who wants to come to Portugal, as you know, if you've seen any of my work, and that's what I'm doing here tonight. It's my passion to help people get in shape to move here and enjoy their life once they've got here. Okay, we're gonna take spiritual inspiration right now. This could be helpful tonight. The Serenity Prayer. I think most people have heard this, right? God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and wisdom to know the difference. Okay, this, you're wondering why have I gone all religious all of a sudden? It's because I think this is really helpful. We can have that paralysis by analysis in Portugal. You are spoilt for choice, so I would recommend focusing on the things that are difficult to change as a first position. Okay, that should make more sense as we go into this. There it is, the paralysis by analysis. Focus first on the things, that you can't easily change. Okay, what does my wife call them? The astrologer, she calls them the immutable facts. Okay, so you can get in the long grass, in the gray areas where you think, oh, should I do this, should I do that? There are certain factors that will help you in making your decision. They're the unchanging things. Okay, so let's take a look at those now. This was said to me a little while ago, and I think it's a really interesting comment about Portugal. It is a cool country with a hot sun, and this is a determining factor. The climate, the temperature is a key determinant, and where you might put yourself in Portugal. It's actually quite cold in Portugal until the sun comes out. Okay, and this is worth bearing in mind. So if you're up north, it will cool considerably, but when the sun comes out, and you'll see the pictures of the sun coming out, and you think, yes, what a great, bright and hot country that is. But when the sun's not there, it cools down. It's quite extreme. It's not like the moderate maritime climate that I'm used to in the UK. It feels quite extreme, and it is quite a surprise when that happens. Okay, so cool country in both senses of the word, but with a very hot sun, and that's obviously the bit we're coming here for. And that gives rise to this phenomena here. Look, 9 o'clock in the morning, you can be the gentleman on the left. That's indoors with a coat and a scarf on, and maybe a woolly hat as well. Then by lunchtime, you're this gentleman on the right with your Hawaiian garland on, your sunglasses and your straw hat. It's as extreme as that. That's Portugal in one day, probably all over the country at times. Okay, another consideration for your decision-making process. Do you want to spend your time warming up, or do you want to spend your time cooling down? Obviously, if you're in central and upwards, you're probably going to spend parts of the year, 3 or 4 months possibly, warming up, wrapping up, putting on layers. If you're down south, you're going to spend quite a lot of your year cooling down. What sort of person are you? And there's not much changing that. You know, these are the immutable things about Portugal. Okay, so give that some consideration as well. Are you the sort of person that struggles if it's hot for a lot of the time, and you would prefer the problem of warming yourself up, or are you somebody who's struggles with the chilly weather that you might, and damp weather, obviously, that we're learning more and more about in Portugal as each webinar comes by, and when my wife appears on webinars on the internet as well. So another immutable choice here. Do you want a city life, or do you want a country life? I mean, you know, this is not much of a gray area. You know, are you a city person? Are you a country person? That's a fairly good thing to know and to help you just make your decision. Another determinant would be seaside or interior. Okay, these obviously you can't bring the sea to you, although Paul Richards did do that with our April Fool joke in the Portugal resident there. But you know, you're either going to be in the seaside or the interior. Slight plot twist there, of course, is that you have beautiful river beaches, which if you are somebody who likes the water, that can make the interior a bit more bearable in central Portugal, certainly. Do you want an expat life or do you want a local life? Do you want to be with other foreigners and immigrants, or do you want to put yourself somewhere? I mean, like where I live, there aren't many immigrants, and then you end up with quite an authentic and traditional and local sort of life. And do you want a modern Portuguese experience or a traditional one? I think that's possibly one of the more unusual ones in terms of the questions here and the contrast. But in the town I live in, it looks a lot like, let's say, an Australian suburban town, and there's not much azulejo and original rustic charm. It's part of Portugal that wants to be part of modern Europe, unashamedly so. So a lot of the stuff that I really love, I don't see so much of that where I live, and that's probably part of the informing part of our decision to move. So you can choose very modern parts of Portugal, or you can go to the more traditional. Okay, so to avoid even more paralysis by analysis, the spoilt for choice thing in Portugal. I mean, this is the problem we've had, isn't it? Over these last few webinars, we've made claims like which is the best place to live in Portugal. Jerry's here tonight, and he's the champion, and he champions Central Portugal. And every time we've had those conversations, like, okay, great, we're going to decide tonight. And everyone's like, well, actually, all of Portugal is really nice, isn't it? You've just got to find the bit that works for you. So the paralysis by analysis, spoilt for choice thing is a really big issue, folks. Okay, so to help you a bit more with that, I would say this is from, I went for spiritual inspiration earlier on with the Serenity Prayer, but this is from the writing world. Something that's helped me is don't let the excellent spoil the good. And you could spend a long time looking at maps, tourist guides, websites, and thinking, I'm going for the ultimate, I'm going for the ultimate. And you think to yourself, I've just got to find the best place. And that can end up with you not finding anywhere at all. I saw some nodding heads there. So don't let the excellent spoil the good. And what goes hand in hand from the writing world, I thought long and hard about this to find the right way to express it. But what goes hand in hand with this in the writing world, as in, you know, get writing, don't worry about making it the best thing. Don't worry about making it the best part of Portugal. Just get moving and don't let it paralyze you completely. It's all about the journey, as in there's no good writing, there's only good rewriting. Get started. All journeys have many steps, not a single step. Okay. And you know, I know in your mind, maybe you're thinking, well, I'm moving country here. I can't be messing about. I need to know which is the best place. I have to say to you, be prepared if you possibly can for change and to get yourself here and touring, get yourself here and moving about, and consider it from this point of view. Make it as focused as you possibly can, but don't let that stop you from setting up a base camp and touring if you possibly can. What goes hand in hand with that is something we discovered. You saw the many places we've been to. This is beautiful San Martino de Porto, where we were stranded because our camper van broke down. This is the Silver Coast, beautiful scalloped bay. You can see in the distance there, the sea goes out to the Atlantic, and you're enjoying a very shallow and still bay here. We got to this place in Portugal and we thought, this is it. This is our dream location in Portugal. And then we went somewhere else in Portugal the next week. And guess what? We thought, this is the most amazing place. It's got this fantastic restaurant and this park and this shop. And then we go somewhere the week after that. And then that big place becomes the place we want to live in. And what we ended up calling it was San Martino Syndrome, because this is another problem in Portugal. You keep going to new places and you think, I could live here. And then you go to the next one, I could live here. And this is, again, I'm seeing looks of recognition, I think, from people who are tuned into that. So be very careful of San Martino Syndrome, where you just keep thinking to yourself, this is it. This is it. Allow it not to be the place. Or actually allow it to be the place and know that maybe the rest of your life in Portugal is about exploring all these other lovely places and second and third homes, possibly. Okay, I'll come back to resources. I want to break there for a moment, just to see what's in the chat and face a few questions. I mean, maybe, Astrid, the best thing to do here is for us to open the mics and put the hands up, and I can take some questions, and we can get specific about locations with people based on those decision-making tools that I've given you there. So
Sure.
any questions for me? Hello, Paul. Paul said to screen at the moment.
Okay, Paul, you can start. You're unmuted already.
Okay. Yeah, I think for people who are coming to Portugal, it should be 3 stages. And by that, I mean that 1, you do your homework in the country you live in about Portugal. 2, you come to Portugal and you tour. And 3, you make your final decision where you're going to stay to start with.
Ideally so. That's perfect, isn't it? So I think you would agree with me there, Paul, I suspect, that having a base camp and doing a bit of touring is going to be really helpful after you've maybe narrowed it down a little bit, but not tried to find the ultimate place. But get a short list, come, tour, and make your final decision based on being in the country.
Yeah, I think for everybody's different. So everybody wants different things. And you've got to look at the YouTubes. There's so much information, but you have to come here for at least a month and at different times of the year too, because that can make a big difference to the places. But you must tour. You rent. You don't buy first, you rent. And then only for a short period of time, if necessary. Winter's a very good time to rent because it's very cheap under normal conditions. But I mean, don't spend, your life savings and make a wrong decision. Take your time, enjoy Portugal, and see the world in Portugal.
Yeah, well said, Paul. Well said. Thank you for that. Louise has a question as well. Let's see if we can unmute Louise. Good evening to you, Louise.
Evening. Hi, everybody. Can you hear me okay?
Absolutely loud and clear.
Right, we all know how much Prosecco Peggy loves the Algarve. However, that wasn't her first choice. She came up to Central and was planning on buying in Central and kind of ended up there a bit by accident, as I understand it. So my question to the people that are already here, did anyone else end up in a completely different location they intended to after they'd done what Paul suggested and did their research back in the UK? So has anyone ended up somewhere completely different, and why and how did that work?
Okay, that's a great question. Jerry will take that.
Well, yes, I have. I had a holiday home in the Algarve for a number of years before I moved to Portugal, and thoroughly enjoyed it and thoroughly enjoyed the area. But when I moved there, I found it was a very different place to live compared to visiting for holidays, and wasn't enjoying the experience, living in that area, anything like we'd enjoyed it during the holiday time. So ended up moving to Portugal. For the very simple reason that, ended up moving to central Portugal for the very simple reason that once you go north of the Algarve and start looking for properties, the next place you actually land where there's civilization is pretty much central Portugal, and that was the reason.
Well, we'll hear from Neil in a moment about that, I suspect. Mr. Perkins is here, who might take issue with that. But yeah, a fair point there. Louise, you're looking for others who might have done the same as well as Jerry here?
I'll contribute.
Yeah, thank you.
So when we first moved to Portugal, we really didn't know where it was that we wanted to be. So we were checking up north to begin with, and went through the magazine to look at property for sale and on the websites and things like that. And we saw a property in Castelo de Ville, which is in the Alto Alentejo, which is seems to be a growing area for foreigners now. But when we first arrived there wasn't a lot of them. And I think when you find your place, you really feel that it's the place for you as well. So, you just, it ticks a lot of boxes for you, and you can imagine yourself being there. So I think it's really hard to have a definite place before you come. You can probably come and have a look at a few areas that you've researched. And I think when you're in the right spot, you'll just feel it. And also with the property as well, you'll feel that it's the right property for you, based on just your gut and what you see with your we realized for us it was very important for schooling, making sure there was good schools and facilities, sports facilities for our children to be able to do what they needed to do or what they wanted to do. And of course, things like, supermarkets and shops and stuff like that was very important too.
Thank you, Astrid. I think we've got a bit of a funnel phenomenon or theory, haven't we, really going on here, where you're focusing in, aren't you? You put your ideas and your sense of the place and your research, that's in the top part of the funnel. Or like the coin that rolls around, the inside of those drums where you sometimes leave money for charity. And hopefully, your spiral will help you zero in on where you're going. But Louise, it might be good to come back to you, because you asked the question about people who changed their mind. Well, not changed their mind, but had their own plot twist on their journey here. Are you finding yourself in this kind of paralysis by analysis situation? Like the harder you think about it, the more difficult it becomes to decide on somewhere.
Well, it's just that my area is so wide. I mean, when I came, I knew I wanted central Portugal, but central Portugal is a big place. And, I just don't know where to, I don't know. I fall in love with places as I'm driving through and as I visit. I mean, I visited Fundeo the other week, and it totally, I didn't go there looking as a place to live. I just went to see somebody, and I just sort of fell in love with that place. I fell in love with a place that I was driving through when I was driving over. And I get what Astrid's saying about just looking, and then half of me thinks just start looking at properties, but then I think, why am I wasting the estate agent's time just generally looking and thinking, I'm just waiting for that place that I fall in love with and I feel it, so I don't know.
So you are
problems, not a difficult problem to have, but yeah.
No, fair point, but you are deciding where to live, possibly, for many of your years, if not your forever home. So it's fair enough to have these anxieties, and I think you are recognizing the paralysis by analysis and the San Martino De Porto syndrome there as well, that you constantly fall in love with a new place, which seems to be taking you further away from your forever home. So thanks, Louise. Hope that's helpful.
Story.
Please, Colin. Yeah.
I'm actually different in that respect. I moved from the Roman city of Chester, and we were sat in our home looking on the internet, for some reason looking at this area of Portugal, because it was on first time I'd ever seen a place in the sun, and this particular area was on the place of the sun, my first ever one. And we went online, looked at the prices and thought, cannot believe this. This is 2004, mind you. And we decided to come over. Now, we left Chester on the 12th of December. It was the 12th of December, early in the morning. We parked the car in then East Midlands Airport, because it was the only place we could get on the 12th of December a flight to Faro. We both had our ski equipment on. It was -5, the car told us, as we were parking up. We flew into Faro. I'd been to the Algarve before. My partner Liz had never been to Portugal before. I got the taxi driver to take us to Albufeira beach. We sat outside having a coffee and some breakfast at about 10 o'clock in the morning. And Liz was taking one layer after another layer off because it was 25 degrees. So we then hired a car and came up to our area, which is just north of Ericeira, an area we'd never knew before. I had been north of Lisbon and in the Cascais area, because I used to work for Alfa Romeo. We used to bring our dealers over here to test new cars. So I knew the area basically and had been, but we moved and we came to see this house, and I got halfway up the drive and said, I'm having it. So I went back home to Chester and I said to my friends, I'm going to buy this big house in Portugal. Oh, Planet Colin, they were all saying. My brother, who's far more astute than myself, said, but Colin, he says, you've not looked at any other properties. What are you going to do? How can you buy a property, just one? Is that the right area? So we came back at the end of December, and we went 100 miles north of Ericeira, 100 miles south. We looked at every beach area because we wanted a view of the beach, as you can see behind me. And we came back to this house and said, no, it's what we want to do. So we put our 10% down, and we were lucky in Chester. We sold our house within 3 weeks and came here. Then that's a major story. I won't go into.
That's amazing. We're enjoying Planet, Colin. And so what happened there was like you did your extra research just to confirm your first feeling and thought and decision.
Yes, I mean, the one thing about any property is its location. They're the three most important factors.
Yeah. Everything
else you can change. You can't change the location.
Indeed. Yeah. Hence city or coast or modern or traditional. That's what I was trying to get at, is that the things that you can't change help you make the decision more rapidly, right? Than all the grayer areas that can only add to the confusion.
We wanted to know what was wrong with the property, why it was so inexpensive. And actually what had happened is it's a big house, so it doesn't appeal to the average Portuguese person. And it's old, yes, 1986. It's
antique property.
Not by British standards, but by Portuguese standards, that's very old.
Yeah.
And it had missed its price. So it was twice the price before on various agents' prices. And then by the time we bought it at half the price. So we were more than happy.
Terrific. All right, we'll come back to you, Colin, because you're part of the announcement we're making later on. But thank you for that. That's a good insight for people. And there will be people like you, an earth sign probably, going back to the astrology, with such certainty of decision making. So I can't hold back any longer. This is the help we've got for you with our new real estate and property finder service. I mean, I think it's more than ever the case when you're buying off plan and buying from marketing. The whole thing of, buyer beware, is that caveat emptor in Latin. You have to be so careful with that stuff. And what you need, or what we think people need, the need we're hoping to meet with our services and our resources, is, I'll come back to that because there's our business directory as well. But we are, and Colin is leading this, who you've just met, who Earl speaks of a positive experience with already this week as a guinea pig. This is our real estate search service. Okay, so assistance with your home search, real estate search, and we oversee these areas, working with a growing network of buyers agents and people who know what they're doing in property. Okay, so we can help you with a property search. We can even help with the negotiations, checking contracts, inspections, mortgages, everything. We're involving ourselves on your behalf with every aspect of finding property in Portugal, so that it isn't such a roulette, basically, and it isn't so risky. You'll be talking to people who from these webinars, for example. Astrid, did you want to add something there?
Yeah, I did want to say, because I think one of the very popular questions that comes up in the forum a lot is, can you recommend a real estate agent that can be trusted? There seems to be already a preconceived idea that you can't trust real estate agents in Portugal. So what this service will do is actually allow you to have someone in between the actual real estate agent and yourself, working for you, in helping you find your property, someone who can understand Portuguese, go over the contracts for you, make sure that everything is in order, because you hear, especially if you're looking at rural properties, they often will say that you can build a house there. And then after you've bought it, you find out that you actually can't. They've just given you the sales pitch. So, excuse me, all that will be checked over for you. And you'll be working with people that we've already worked with, or can recommend from other people. So people that we trust through Expats Portugal, and Colin will be headlining the process of finding the best people to work with on your behalf. So I think this has just come out of a need from so many people in the forum saying we don't trust real estate agents. So this is a great initiative. I think it's something that's well worth engaging with.
Yeah, thanks, Astrid. And we're refining that question, really, aren't we? It's like, can you trust a estate agent? can you, can't you? The question for us is, which ones can you trust? And you know, we're creating, we have relationships, and we're developing more relationships with estate agents who we feel we can trust based on their reputation and their track record, to take some of the heat and pain out of that. And obviously, you know, it's not waving a magic wand. The problems in Portugal are the same anywhere in the world with buying property. It's not going to take every pain and every problematic scenario out of the picture, but it's going to make it a whole lot easier and take a lot of the mystery out of it. So we proudly present to you, spearheaded by Colin Ross-Jones, the new service there. Alongside that, of course, there is the Ask Our Expats team. And they're a great bunch of people who you can go and ask to do a recce for you. You know, that's the sort of thing some of them will stretch to as well. You can check out with them on an individual basis if they're in a part of the country that you are looking at. We do have people pretty much all over, including Madeira for you, Marty P. So do check out the Ask Our Expats team as well, who I think are pretty good value. I mean, in the long run, can save you a lot of money by hiring them, you know, and doing a Skype with them and getting them to be, like I said before, your eyes and ears on the ground here in Portugal. And of course, don't forget to, I mean, you're all premium members, so you'll know about the business directory that we have, but there's a lot of perks and discounts in there when you start getting into the process of buying and engaging legal services as well. So make sure you know what you're entitled to in there as well. Okay, the real estate service, search service, will it include rentals or primarily for buying? I would say, yeah, that's about right, Jim. Primarily for buying, but of course, you know, we're not going to hold rentals from you if they come up. And as we talk to more and more people and create more and more relationships, that's going to be more likely. And this is the need that we're identifying, of course, tonight, is that people do want their base camp. You know, they want their research pad, don't they? So, you know, we will be aware of that kind of rental for people for sure. This is an amazing service. Thanks so much for offering this. It's a pleasure, Lilibeth. Be sure to sign up on the forum. You know, get talking to people across the community in the forum. You'll get some real great intel in the forum there. Yes.
Maybe you should show where people go on the site to find the survey for the search service.
Oh, I say, okay. Can you pop a link in the comments as well?
Well, if you just go, if you just go to the website.
I'll do that. I'll find the website. Let me come out of my presentation. It's the grand finale then, isn't it? For me anyway. I think there's going to be a little bit of mingling, isn't there?
Yes.
Up until 9 o'clock. But let me find the website. Real estate search service. Let me just find that let me share it on the screen for you right now. Right, can you see it?
No. Yes.
Oh, Jerry. There you go, the real estate search service. Oh, and our partner Spartan FX there. Are you on the hunt for your new home in Portugal? So that's where you need to go. There's the form, and we get all your information there captured so that we can help you to the best of our ability. Spearheaded by Colin Ross-Jones, who's with us tonight as well. So those, it's a simple, you know, form like this that you fill in, and then we've got what we need to help you best. There you go. I can hear birdsong through somebody's Zoom. Isn't that lovely? Very nice. Okay, so there you go. That's the website.